Hello everyone, Storm1 here. Today we'll be having an update on the multiple severe weather setups that will be occurring across parts of several plains in the parts of the Ohio Valley and Tennessee Valley over the next couple of days. Before you get started this video, if you guys like weather-related content, you can subscribe to our channel. We do this stuff here all the time on this channel. Plus, we'll have more updates on these upcoming severe weather setups over the next couple of days, so definitely stay tuned for more uploads as well. We're going to get started with the watch warning advisory display, and it's generally mostly quiet across the country out there, but things will get more active across parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri later today, as we are expected to see a significant severe weather outbreak out for some of those areas as well. Which, if we do check out the SPC Outlook for today, there is a moderate risk for severe weather for parts of northern Oklahoma, with an enhanced risk that includes parts of southern Kansas, southwestern Missouri, and parts of northwestern Arkansas as well. Here's the tornado risk. There is a tiny 15% hatched area for the north central part of Oklahoma. Damage and winds looks like the main player. You got that 45% hatched area. And also hail will be a possibility, especially within the supercells as well. And with that hatched area there for the hail threat, that's where you could potentially see very large hail, which is 2 inches in diameter or larger. Day 2, which is tomorrow, we got a slight risk for severe weather from central Kentucky into southeastern Indiana, the southern half of Ohio into southwestern Pennsylvania. There is a low tornado risk. There's a 2% risk area. It's a very low chance, but it's not zero out there. Damage and winds will be the main player. There could also be hail with some storms out there as well. Day 3, which is Wednesday, getting enhanced risk from parts of central Oklahoma into parts of the northwestern part of Texas, out there for a couple counties out there. There's a 30% hatched area in place, which indicates for the potential for significant severe weather. That includes the threat for damaged winds, hail, even for the possibility for tornadoes. Some of those could be strong. And on day 4, which is Thursday, got an enhanced risk for severe weather for the eastern part of Arkansas, northwestern Mississippi into southwestern Tennessee, or I should say northwestern Mississippi, that I should say. And then you got that 50% slight risk for northeastern Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, most of Arkansas, northern Louisiana, a good chunk of Mississippi into northwestern Alabama, western Tennessee, southern Illinois into southwestern Kentucky. Days 5 through 8 is predictably too low, but that could change over the next couple of days. Let's get started with today's severe weather risk area, and that's going to be over parts of Oklahoma and Kansas into parts of Arkansas and Missouri. And we're going to start off by visible satellite. This is going to be pretty important because if we do see a lot of clearing out there, which we are seeing a decent amount of clearing out there, especially for the western part of Oklahoma, that's going to lead to destabilization out there. We actually do have some showers and storms coming on going in the northeastern part of Oklahoma, but we do expect clearing out there later today. Which, if you do check out surface-based CAPE, there are areas of 3,000 joules per kilogram out there, mainly for the southwestern part of Oklahoma. So things are destabilizing very quickly out there, and that's going to increase the chances for severe weather. If we check out downdraft CAPE, you can see here conditions are favorable for damaged winds out there, and some of these numbers can increase out there as well. Mid-level lap rates, there are some elevated numbers out there. And then low-level lap rates, they're pretty displaced here, mainly across far western Oklahoma to the Texas Panhandle, but we do expect some of these numbers to move in over into parts of Oklahoma and Kansas later today. And then storm rate of velocity values, there are some elevated numbers out there, generally 200 to 300, which is favorable for severe weather, including the potential for tornadoes. Which, if you do check out the significant weather parameters, the fixed layer, it's generally a 1 out there, but there is a level 2 in the southern part of Oklahoma, which indicates for the potential for stronger tornadoes within that level 2 zone, which we do expect some of these numbers to increase as the day goes on. Keep in mind, we are in the early afternoon hours, so yeah, you already got some pretty decent numbers out there already, and it's only the early afternoon hours, so we do expect some of these numbers to increase as the day does go on. We'll check out the latest HER model, the 15Z model run, and we've seen some showers of thunderstorms across Oklahoma earlier today, but we're paying attention to parts of the northwestern part of Oklahoma, even in the parts of southern Kansas. That's where some supercells are going to develop. However, there is going to be a short time frame for these supercells because the cold front is not too far behind. And as soon as the cold front catches up with the supercells, they'll become into a little cluster, and it really decreases the chances for strong tornadoes. However, it increases the chances for damaging straight line winds, which you can see here as we get later into the evening hours. As that cold front does move over some of these supercells, they become into a pretty decent cluster. And that's where your significant damage and wind drive will come into play out there as well. And eventually, as we get into the overnight hours, those storms should begin to die down as we move further to the south and east. Checking out the significant torque parameters from the HER model, you can see here numbers are not very high right now, but you can see here, especially when a couple supercells do develop, we are going to start to see some higher numbers out there whenever some of these storms do begin to develop. If we do get a sounding in the northwest central part of Oklahoma, which, keep in mind, we're not into the evening hours yet, and typically during the evening hours is when those storage velocity values will begin to increase, or in other words, wind shear values, which by this sounding here in the late afternoon hours, wind shear values are not very impressive, but they still can support severe weather. If you check out some of the other ingredients like the wind direction of height, looks pretty good. That can support rotating updrafts. Hodograph will be on the tiny side, but still supported for tornadoes. Instability, surface-based CAPE is up to 3,800. Downdraft CAPE is up to 1,100. Lap breeze are not bad either, which can be supported for some hail for some of these storms as well. So really, by the sounding here, conditions are favorable for tornadoes, hail, and also damaging winds. But then again, we're not to the prime time frame just yet. What goes we get into around peak time heating? At this point here, we have a cluster of thunderstorms roaming through parts of central Oklahoma. But check out these values here out ahead of that main cluster. You got some very high numbers out there. You got numbers as high as an 8 in some places. Now, thankfully, the numbers backed off than the model run we looked at yesterday. Yesterday's run was a pretty crazy run. At least for today's run, it's not been very crazy, but it's still supported for a big severe weather event regardless. And it seems like that sounding doesn't work. Let's try a different area. Let's go to the southern part of Oklahoma. And you can see here, by looking at the sounding here, wind direction of height looks pretty good again. A much better hodograph than the last one that we checked out. And one of the key things, storm relative velocity values are pretty elevated. At least 300 to close to 500. Excuse me. That's going to be favorable for severe weather, including the potential for strong tornadoes. Now, that's a big if, because if storms do not develop out ahead of the main cluster, the strong tornado risk overall will be on the lower side. But if we do see a supercell develop out ahead of the main cluster, you definitely need to pay attention to that, because with these stronger wind shear values, that really ramps up the chances for a stronger tornado. Now, for a cluster of thunderstorms, stronger tornadoes are not very common, but you can still experience a brief spin of tornadoes along that squall line as well. So the tornado threat will still be around, but maybe not as high as you will see for supercell type of storms out there as well. But regardless, the severe weather threat is still around. Instability values are pretty elevated. Downdraft CAPE is favorable for damaging straight line winds, and mid-level lap breeze is also better on the sounding as well, which will be favorable for hail out there as well. So really, overall, a for a good chunk of Oklahoma, mainly the eastern half of Oklahoma, even for northwestern Oklahoma as well, into parts of southern Kansas, and perhaps into parts of southwestern Missouri into western Arkansas, conditions will be favorable for damaging winds, tornadoes, and also some hail with some of these storms. The better opportunity for supercellular storms will be in the parts of southern Kansas into the northwestern part of Oklahoma. That's where we're going to see the better opportunity for supercellular storms, which wraps up the chances for strong tornadoes and significant hail. For everybody else, you may be looking at mostly a damaged wind threat, but you still have that possibility for tornadoes and hail out there as well. So overall today definitely looks like another pretty big day for parts of Oklahoma, and parts of Kansas, and maybe in the parts of Missouri and Arkansas by later in the evening as well. Then the severe weather risk moves farther to the east. It's not going to be as bad as what Oklahoma will be experiencing today, but there will be enough wind shear and instability values to support more severe weather. Not going to be as bad as Oklahoma then again, but the potential could still be there for some damage to winds, hail, and maybe some brief tornadoes out there as well. There will be some morning convection moving through parts of the area, especially for the eastern part of the area where we have a little bit more of uncertainty out there on the eastern part of the risk area. But on the western part of the risk area, like back in the parts of southwestern southern Ohio, southeastern Indiana, into parts of central Kentucky, we're likely that morning convection will likely be well out of the way. It will have plenty of time to destabilize to produce some strong to severe storms, which you can see here by 20Z Tuesday or the late afternoon hours. We got storms that do develop out there, and some of these may have the potential to become supercells out there as well. And eventually things should die down as you get into the overnight hours. But let's check out those significant tornado parameters. You can see here the numbers are not very impressive out there. Some of the highest numbers this model is suggesting is up into parts of northern Ohio. A little bit of spectacle of that, but that's what it's showing out there. And then again, overall 1, conditions can be favorable for tornadoes, but wherever it's over a 2, conditions are stronger. Or if the value is over a 2, conditions can be favorable for a stronger tornado, which you can see here. We're not seeing values up as high as a 2, which is good news. However, numbers are high enough to support the potential for some quick spin up tornadoes out there as well. If we do get a sounding up in central Ohio, you can see our sorted felicity values are not very impressive out there, but they are enough to support severe weather. 169, 259, 201 would be favorable. Instability, there's plenty of instability out there. Local lap race is there to help to support the damage wind risk. Same way with the downdraft cape. Photograph is on the smaller side of things, but still supported for a brief spin up tornado or 2. Wind direction of height is there as well, which could lead to the potential for some rotating updrafts out there as well. So really the sounding supports the potential for damage winds, a brief spin up tornado or 2, and there could be some small hail with some storms out there as well. Another area we'll be watching is back into central Kentucky, which you can see here from the HERM model. There will be better instability values as you get back farther to the southwest, but there will be some questions with the wind shear. Now, the NAM family suggests better wind shear values. I'm seeing values that's like around 300 in the parts of central Kentucky. So there is some disagreements here with the wind shear, but if models do trend towards the NAM family, we might need to keep an eye on central and northern Kentucky for tomorrow, because if the NAM family is correct, those folks down there may have a better opportunity to see some better supercells out there, and that could help increase the severe weather risk. But the HERM shows pretty much the similar situation like Ohio. Sorry, the felicity value is usually 150 to about 130, or 230, I should say. Now, wind direction of height is not as impressive out there. It's also pretty much directional shear, so it's not too much wind shear out there. But hodograph on a smaller scale, but it's still supported for maybe a brief tornado or 2. So really by this out of here, conditions could be favorable for some hail, damage winds, maybe a brief spin of tornado or 2 out there as well. So really, parts of central southern Ohio back into central Kentucky, and it could get into parts of southwestern Pennsylvania. Those are the areas I will watch for that may have the better opportunity for some strong severe storms tomorrow. And then another system comes in on Wednesday, and it shifts back to Oklahoma and even on parts of Texas. This is the NAM model at around peak time heating on Wednesday. Pretty decent values out there. If we do check out central Oklahoma out there, you can see here from the sounding firm Central Oklahoma, pretty good hodograph, pretty good story to felicity values, plenty of instability. I mean, pretty much everything is here for a severe weather set. That's a dew point of 72, or as well, I should say. And that's a pretty muggy air mass out there. There's not much dry air going on out here, and that's something I would pay attention to. If there's not a whole lot of dry air going on out there, and that could lead to a messy mode type of situation here. But I think those middle evaporates will definitely help support or prevent from that from happening. So we definitely need to watch how the middle evaporates kind of go along with this setup here as well. But regardless, the potential for severe weather is there, and some of it can be significant out there as well. And that includes the potential for strong tornadoes. You can see here some of these values do go back into parts of Texas as well, which if we do get a sounding out there real quick, you can see here more instability out there. Mixed layer cape is up to 3,800, which is pretty high. That's going to be favorable for some significant hail. And wind shear values are also better out here as well. Some slight capping out there, but I think stores are going to be able to blow for that cap out there as well. And also wind direction of height looks pretty good. So really give it by the sounding here. It's favorable for hail. Some of it could be very large. Tornadoes, some of those could be significant. Or I should say strong tornadoes. And damage winds will also be there as well. So really, and these models have been hinting on a pretty good severe weather set for parts of Oklahoma and Texas for a while now. So we definitely need to keep an eye on these areas in here over the next day or two. And then the severe weather risk shifts further to the east here. Something I've noticed here from the models that we are trending a little bit slower out there, and I kind of said that earlier in the video, where some of the models are becoming a little bit slower with this system. It was kind of shifting something like this. Now we're kind of shifting back to the west a little bit, which it means that the system is trending a little bit slower. Which then again, that's shifting things a little bit back to the west. You can see here as we go to peak time heating here, some pretty good supersonic positive values across parts of southern Missouri, Arkansas, northern Louisiana, even into eastern Texas. Some pretty decent values out there. Some slight contamination on the sounding here, but wind shear values, at least we're at this point here, are not very impressive, but there's a lot of instability that's going to be in place out there. If we try to get a different sounding here, maybe if we go into northern Arkansas, maybe we could get a more accurate sounding here. Yeah, this is a little bit more accurate. You can see here, as we get farther to the north here, those wind shear values do begin to really ramp up as high as 400, which will certainly be favorable. Plenty of instability still. Surface base is 2200, mixed layer is 2100. You got a nice hodograph. With direction of height is pretty interesting. And downdraft cape is up as high as 987. And middle of evaporation is on the stronger side as well. So if the sound were to be correct, conditions could be favorable for all hazards out there. Tornadoes, damage winds, even some large hail. And this is towards the end of the run. I also notice here there's some more elevated numbers up in the parts of the lower Ohio Valley, kind of along the warm front. We'll have to wait and see if any storms do develop along that warm front, because if it does, there could be another severe weather risk for some of those folks up there as well. Checking out the GFS model, 18Z Geeks here is also a little bit slower as well. More focused in western Arkansas and eastern Oklahoma. And if we do get a sounding out there as well, we'll see what it suggests. Sorry if I sound a little stuffy here. Allergies are getting bad. My throat's getting dry too, so I do apologize for that. But anyway, checking out the sounding here, pretty decent hodograph. More directional shear out there, and that could be an issue there. You can see here, sorry to felicity values are not as impressive here, but there's then again still plenty of instability, and also lap rates look good as well, mainly in the mid-level region. But So there is some uncertainty here. The NAM is a little bit more aggressive here with the wind shear. Meanwhile, GFS, not so much. So there is some uncertainty out there. And the severe weather risk could move into parts of deep south, perhaps by Friday as well. And some of these areas haven't seen a big severe weather risk in a hot minute. So that'd be another area to watch for as we get into Friday as well. So right overall, the active pattern for severe weather does continue throughout most of the week. But anyways, guys, that's all for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Guys, like this video, hit that like button. If you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you guys have questions about this, put in the comment section down below. Alright, you guys questions. I see you guys in the next video. Goodbye and have a good day.